Today I messed up by shutting down a construction site. Happened just a few minutes ago, literally typing this as the fire department is pulling away from the site. I'll start by saying that I had a CT scan yesterday, and if any of you have ever gotten a CT scan before, sometimes you have to drink a barium solution if they're trying to image your abdomen. This stuff makes your intestines feel like someone is pumping them full of air with a high-power pressure pump. The sounds alone are loud enough for people to hear from 10 feet away. I felt these demon bubbles forming up on my drive to the site, so I made sure to put myself into an area of the site where I could be relatively covered by loud sounds of drilling, sawing, etc. Let me tell you, I've never had to clench my cheeks this hard in my life. These air pockets were trying to escape like the show Prison Break. Eventually it hurt so bad I had to let one go. It was silent, but damn it stank to high heavens. I'll attribute that to the barium. People started asking around if they smelled a gas leak. And workers were out front of the house digging for support beams. So after 5 to 10 minutes, the site lead agreed they should call the fire department to come out and check. Needless to say, they didn't find a gas leak, and I will absolutely never admit to this. Today I messed up in prison. This actually occurred over a decade ago when I used to be a correctional officer in a maximum security men's prison. I was working in a segregation unit at this maximum security prison. 3 other officers brought back an inmate from a medical visit. This inmate was generally very decent with staff but was in full restraints due to a severe assault on another inmate months prior. Full restraints consists of leg irons and handcuffs with a waist chain that is inserted between the center of the handcuffs and then snapped back on the waist chain to hold the hands at the waist. Generally, when removing this chain, if you jiggle the chain, it will just slip right out from between the handcuffs. On this day something was stuck, so it wasn't coming loose. The inmate was on his knees to have the leg restraints removed so he could back up on his knees into his room. As a rule of thumb, you never put your head right in front of their head because they can headbutt you easily in that position. So I was reaching around this kneeling inmate and trying to wiggle the chain free for a very awkward length of time. I'm notorious for cracking one-liners, and though generally these one-liners are always above the belt, on this day I spouted, without thinking, not exactly what you had in mind for a reach around. I instantly knew that I F up. I was already getting red in the face. Being female, this could be considered crossing the line too. Oops, and continued until I finally got the chain loose. Meanwhile, the 3 other officers were trying hard to control their laughter, and the inmate, who was wearing a foam helmet, hit his head on the door, and his shoulders started convulsing up and down because he was laughing so hard. I fully expected to be written up for this, but as it turns out, everybody just went on with their day with a little bit of laughter in an ugly place. Too long. Didn't read. Today I messed up by saying to a prison inmate not exactly what you had in mind for a reach around while removing restraints. Edit, spelling errors. Today I messed up by picking at my acne while at work. As the title reads, I was picking my back acne at work. Don't know why, normally I only do this kind of thing at home. I have very acne-prone skin. It's very oily and sensitive, thanks Dad. I have tried so many different cleansers and creams and all that shit. None of it has completely cleared my skin and has always left me with some acne. The most recent cleanser I was trying was not helping and might have been making it worse. Anyway, I was on break and I got bored, so I went to the bathroom, took my shirt off, and went at it. I start by just picking tiny blackheads, popping them, examining them, then washing the stuff off my fingers. I repeated this process several times, and this went on for several minutes. Then I see it. It being a giant whitehead, most likely a cyst of some sort. This thing was at least the size of a nickel, maybe a quarter, and the raised bump was at least a centimeter. Note that this was not the first time I'd seen this thing, but it was the first time I noticed it was ready to pop. Now I will mention that I love popping pimples. Always have. Call me gross, but I find it satisfying. So you can imagine my excitement as I see this thing. So I start to try to pop it. It's in a very hard to reach place on my back and I can't quite get a good enough grip. I struggle for a few minutes and finally get a good grip on it. Some stuff starts to come out, but it doesn't really pop, so to speak. Finally, when I'm just about to give up, I hear the door open and I get startled. In the current position I'm in, my back is facing right towards the door, maybe about a foot away from where I'm standing in front of the mirror. Right at that point in time, this thing on my back erupts. I mean, I could hear it pop and feel it pop between my fingers. I turn around to look and I see my manager, standing there with his jaw wide open and my acne pus splattered on his safety glasses and his face. I immediately apologize and start stuttering like a dumbass. Manage to get something like, "I'm so sorry, let me get a paper towel and help you clean that up out." I pick my shirt up and put it on. That's when my manager vomits all over the floor. I leave the bathroom to call the janitor and come back to check on my manager. He says, "You're gonna help them clean this up." I got sent home early due to unprofessionalism and inappropriate behavior. Too long. Didn't read. Today I messed up because I popped a zit on my back in the bathroom at work just as my manager walked in and it splattered and hit him in the face, causing him to vomit everywhere.